There are very few films and filmmakers today that tell a beautiful, meaningful story that also has grit and a soul.
You know, what's really interesting about this story is it's three themes that are very common in film that converge. So you have a survival story, you have a coming-of-age story.
Are you someone I can trust?
And you have a redemption story all woven into one.
Taylor Sheridan was the perfect guy for this project because not only do we share a story sensibility, but he understands the world of the movie.
As much as I can ever make the world feel a character, I want to do that. I think the more we spend our lives inside, in cities, the less connected we get to our planet. So any opportunity I have to make our planet one of the stars, I want to do so. There's a scene where Connor meets a horse. That was really the first opportunity for both Connor and the audience to realize that they're entering a place where the rules that have governed Connor's life to this point don't necessarily apply. And you'll notice that for him to pet that animal that terrified his father required trust, stillness, and respect. It's a bit of foreshadowing, because if someone was to read into that, they would realize those are the exact same characteristics he's gonna need to survive what he faces later.
It's set in Montana, but we couldn't shoot there. So we're in New Mexico. And it's a very particular world.
To tell this story, we've had to travel far and wide. We very much wanted to present in a real way. There wasn't a world of special effects and CGI.
For me, the big thing about New Mexico is that it has such an interesting and diverse topography that it can kind of be a lot of things. We've been able to sort of find locations that, are city-based, are high in the, Montana forest, though some of them have been remote. I think the locations that we've shot here in New Mexico are beautiful.
We're shooting this in natural environments where we are wrestling with surprise lightning storms and windstorms and, microclimates and weather changing every 5 minutes. And doing that within a structure of a schedule, that's what's the most challenging.
Wait for me, downhill!
The tricky part about it being staged in Montana and us working in New Mexico is that you have to go to a certain elevation in order to get the trees that match Montana. So almost every place that we've gone to has been higher elevation, higher up in the mountains, and usually that means pretty long drives to places.
When I initially heard New Mexico, I'm thinking, okay, can they pull off something that looks remotely like the world I imagined? And they've exceeded that. I mean, we were up at 9,000 feet, and it's just surreal.
One of the locations that we filmed in Jemez Spring was a ranch, and we actually filmed there because there was previously a forest fire a few years ago. And during that forest fire, a good amount of it was actually burned out, and we needed a location that looked burned out for some post-fire work that we had. So we were able to kind of use both things to make it work, especially because that part of New Mexico is beautiful and it has the right trees and sort of all the elements that we were looking for.
We're at altitude, it's exhausting, we're dirty. And I'm so happy to be pushed by somebody to just toughen up and get dirty and sweaty and do things I've never done and feel very capable.
Right now, I think Taylor Sheridan's a great American storyteller. He understands the West, he understands the wilderness, he understands what it means to survive and to live off the land.
He just has an understanding of the characters and what the truth is of what they'd be doing, and of the landscapes and the environments and all those sorts of things. So what could become very movie-like in other directors' hands, he manages to ground in a very real way.
Taylor, as a writer and director, is very kind of tight and efficient, and it's all about kind of serving the story. So I quite like having a functional role in that storytelling mode. as in it's all quite lean and economic. It's a visual medium. People don't have to talk too much.
Taylor has definitely helped me. He knows what he wants, and he will get it. He will push you to get it, but I'm really grateful for it because it all looks absolutely amazing.
I'm gonna focus on this for a while.
Fire was a great catalyst for our climax and our resolution. Certainly used with the intent of evil or villainous properties from those who started it. But then it takes on a life of its own, and that life is its natural purpose.
Feel it open, shake it.
I have so much respect for smoke jumpers. I think this time that we've all spent doing a film about people that do this kind of service and live this way is very much a part of America that is very special.
And essentially what they do is they jump out of planes and get into these roadless areas behind fires and either set back burns or cut brakes and try to control and shift and move the fire into a place where it can go out. It's an incredibly dangerous job and one that involves a lot of courage and teamwork.
Get your goddamn shelter!
Directing these sequences that are happening adjacent to a forest fire, it's something I haven't seen before. There's a look and a visceral danger that I think comes across in the frame.
I try to do everything I can practically, and when they asked me, how am I going to recreate the fire, I said, well, I'm going to go out in the desert and I'm going to build a 300-acre forest and I'm going to set it on fire. And that's what we did.
So we've built our own forest here on the back lot. It's been built so that it's contained and we're not in a live forest and we don't, risk creating a real forest fire. And this is kind of our playground to be able to do what we want with the trees. So if we do want to light one on fire completely, we can, and we're not harming any other, forests.
Gilly, go! Go, Gilly, go!
All the trees that we've brought in were either dying or diseased and about to be killed. So we've been as careful as we can be about the environmental impact.
We have 110 real trees that the Greens Department planted out here. Each one is rigged with fire, so we have 110 propane sources. It appeared that the best look was just running a single flame bar right up the side of these trees. That achieved the look of all of our photographs that we have of live wildfires.
It becomes about how do you enhance and capture these elements and give them the mood and the energy that you hope the audience will have when they experience it, when they see it. So we wanted fire to feel alive and threatening and dominating of everything around it.
Us fabricating it is something that was talked about, but at the end of the day, we're treating a lot of the visual effects on this movie with a lot of attention to existing landscapes and areas. So instead of approaching it from a full CG standpoint, we will figure out the best way to do it in camera, and then visual effects will come in and enhance that to add any more drama or add scope and scale to what we previously shot. So essentially, of course, building a 60-foot practical fire tower is a little bit cumbersome in film world. So the base fire tower, which is a 30-foot structure that essentially is being built out there, where I will extend the cabin all the way up to 60 feet in all its glory. We are building the top of the fire cabin as well out on the back lot. Taylor really was insistent on making sure that we maintained natural lighting of what it would be like. So we built it on 6-foot platforms overlooking the New Mexico desert, and essentially whenever we're looking out, I will be replacing that environment as well. But the great thing is that there's nothing better than photographical reference. So the same time of day of the mountains in the distance, we can actually repurpose and apply to our matte paintings and photography that we'll be adding in to the fire tower later.
What are you gonna do? Arrest me? Huh?
Hey, eyes on me. Quit your soul.
A movie typical to this, where you have this female action hero, she typically has to overcome the preconceived notions of her gender within the film before she can then go be the hero. And we don't do any of that here.
They share a history in that Hannah has a past relationship with Ethan. I love that in the story, like right from the first scene, it becomes apparent that this is not about any kind of rivalry, like there are not going to be any, cat fights or anything like that. This is not that typical story. These two women have journeys in and of their own right.
There's a level of sort of violence and brutality to all of Taylor's fight sequences, and I think a level of realism. We're typically not doing anything just for the sake of doing action, but it's all character-driven and motivated.
There is a brutality and a darkness there, and I think that Taylor's not interested in indulging that. I think he wants it to feel real. He doesn't want to glamorize it.
But I think that's good, and I think it's good that Taylor has those things in the film. I think it's important not just to talk about certain things, but to actually see it. And both the women in this movie get hurt pretty bad. And we fight back, but the brutality is real, and it's not softened, and it shouldn't be.
I'll show you what happens if you run and hide.
The more that you can defeat your hero, the more the hero has to overcome to reach victory, because if we don't watch that suffering in battle, then the victory is not earned.
Run.
But at first I wasn't, and then it's the kids going, Mom, figure it out. And you're like, oh my God. Like, as a parent.
Having worked with Angie in the past, she absolutely wants to do everything, and she's always giving as good as she gets, always. She has great ideas, and she wants to be a participant in all of it, and I want to put her in as much of it as possible because it just makes everything better.
You think about essence and talent and depth of character and the physical ability and someone I would believe in that role. Angie certainly fits all of those bills, and I don't know that I would have done it if Angie hadn't agreed.
All you want as a writer is someone who actually can grasp the emotional nuance of the character and deliver it in a convincing way.
Keep going. Toward the fire.
It's a very emotional film about people who are in different places in their life, who, through encountering each other and through going through this journey together, have a great impact on each other and change each other.
If somebody's going to pay money to see a story that I tell, I want them to be riveted from the minute they sit down till the credits roll. That's my job. And so I'm shameless in my endeavor to do that in any way that I can.
Through the midst of all of this big fire and adventure and hitmen and violence and drama, there are these real friendships and real love and real loyalty, and it's beautiful.
We're gonna figure it out together.
Did you know Angelina Jolie was actually a bit of a rebel when she was younger? The star was reportedly kicked out of high school. At 14, dyed her hair purple and moved in with her boyfriend. She married actor Johnny Lee Miller in 1996 and turned up for the wedding in a leather trousers and a white shirt, upon which she had written Lee's name in her own blood. Remember to click here below to subscribe or on the side for more great content.